Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 22nd episode of the Orcocast. With me, my beautiful host, Lord Val Gaming, and
Hi.
down there is my co-host, Bum Bum.
¿Qué pasa, mi amigos?
That's perfect. That was perfect.
Que perfecto, mi amor.
Jesus Christ, this is going down.
Suka, blядь.
This is going down here now. So
Yeah. Yes, I think we should just talk in one language, maybe.
I mean, I'll be okay if we do it in Spanish.
I mean, I can talk Italian, so then we have still two languages.
I can switch between 5 of them if you want me to.
Yeah, sure.
That would be good, man.
I can. Yeah, so what do we talk about today? We talk about the prices of the Xbox which has been unveiled and wreak havoc on the gaming industry as we speak. We are going to talk about the Deadside update that has been released and it's glorious. And we are going to talk about Nioh 2, which has been released for a while now and everyone has played it.
Yay.
Hooray! So let's go. Xbox Series X pricing.
Yep.
$299 for the S, $499 for the X.
Yeah.
So, what do we learn from that, children? The further you are down the alphabet, the more expensive you are.
True. Yeah. And
Jesus Christ, man.
And the only price essentially that matters is the $4.99.
Yes. And I predicted it. Ha!
Yeah.
In pounds, $4.49 and $2.49, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's like about $4.50 and $2.50. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is actually quite good pricing. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised about the pricing. I was not expecting it.
Yeah, I was especially surprised on the Series S because that's dirt cheap. But
It's not made for 4K, is it?
no,
It's only
it's
on
just
2K.
2K. Yeah, it's 2K. Also, there's the issue that it has super small hard drive. It's just 512 gigabytes SSD, and that's super small, especially when you think about
imagine.
Call
Yeah,
of Duty is like 200 gigs.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, install Call of Duty, and half your hard drive is freaking gone already.
Yeah, so I think that's a bit ridiculous. So yeah, essentially, like especially for myself, and I think a lot of people that game on a more regular basis. Essentially, the only machine that matters and the price that matters is the $4.99 for the Series X.
I'd say you can still get this Series S if you are talking about, I don't know, you're gonna buy it for your, I don't know, for your son or your daughter. You know,
Or
maybe
if you
they
want
are
to game on the
really
toilet.
young. You know, they're really young and they're not really going to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a really good price. It's a really good accessible price for parents.
I think the Series S is aimed at either, like Val said, children with a smaller budget, or it's aimed at casual gamers. People that like buy each iteration of Call of Duty and play nothing else.
Yep.
This is something you probably want to have then in your arsenal. It's cheap, it's quick, it's dirty, it's what you want. You don't need more to play your favorite game, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's like, yeah, it's essentially just if you game like once a week on a weekend, you just want to wind down. Yes, Series S. But very much for everyone else who plays more than 1 or 2 games, it's pretty much useless just because it's slower. If you want to play your games from Xbox One, they will not run in Xbox One X mode. They'll run in just basic mode when it comes to performance. And a lot of developers are decrying the CPU used in the Series S because it's slower and it's gonna hold back games development to a degree because you have to make games available on it. So yeah, that's one issue as well with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how they utilize that.
Yeah, especially in comparison with Sony.
So basically the 2K version of the games have to be compatible with the S and the X.
Yep.
While they can go ham on the 4K version of the game.
Yeah,
I
essentially.
think it's downscale from the 4K, so it's not really like the processor is doing the work. So I don't really know how much different that's gonna be.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be. I've been hearing some, like some voices that apparently it's gonna hamper the performance of games on it, or or the developers will be more constrained just because you can make your games as far as the weakest system allows you to.
Okay.
And there's
So
apparently
is
some
that going
issues.
to affect the way the games are made then?
Yeah, it's gonna affect the games. Yeah.
That's not good.
Well,
I mean, we'll see how much of that is true. Maybe they don't have. Maybe they don't. I mean, they probably have the development kits already. That's just stupid to say they don't. But we'll see. You know how it is. Devs need a little bit of time to get used to the new hardware, etc., etc. See how they can utilize it. Maybe it's just somebody who really is just not all that adept.
It's
We'll
more
see.
developers. It's more than just one developer.
I just say maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll see. If it holds back the development of games, that's sad.
I don't think that's gonna happen anyway. But it might be.
Yeah.
You know, but like what I've heard is, you know, it's gonna be like kind of like downscaled, and that's about it. But yeah, I mean, regarding the price, you know, it was a pleasant surprise to see how much cheaper. As you guys know, you know, I called on 500 and 600, so I was way off.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive. They've gone to the route of like, I mean, it depends of. They probably, you know, because it's a self-made CPU, right?
I have no idea. I didn't check the specs.
It's like a CPU made for them by them. So I mean, if that is the case, obviously they could go. They basically can price it however they want, doesn't it? So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a really, like I said, you know, a really pleasant surprise where they are actually, you know, it's something. You know, like I said, you know, the smaller price is it's very much catered for, you know, lower budget and everything. If you buy every year, you know, PlayStation and Xbox, that's way more accessible for you. You know, it will make you want to get that console because it's like you don't probably want to go for the Series X. You just go and say, okay, I'm just gonna buy digital edition anyway, so it's no big deal. I'll get the, you know, the smaller version of the Xbox, and I'm going to save, you know, the double. So I'm gonna save. It's gonna be half the price.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. You know, if you have a smaller budget, you can, you know, save quite a bit of money as well.
Yeah, but the thing is also it's digital only. That's one thing to say as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's digital only. So that's what I'm saying. You know, physical discs. Let's be honest. It's very rare that you keep purchasing those. You know, physical ones.
Rare. You want to see my shelf?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have loads, but it was from a long time ago. Nowadays, you know,
I mean, when it's
we are more old-fashioned.
Think about it in a way. You can't buy a second-hand, or you can buy an older digital game.
Exactly. That's
think of it on that in that regard as well. So in the end, the digital only version can cost you more in the end than the
Yes, I mean, we have the discount and the, you know, price codes, and then we got Game Pass. Which, by the way, I want to mention this before I forget. There is a possibility, there is a rumor, there is going to be Game Pass is going to be actually working in conjunction with EA Pass.
It's not a rumor. It's coming in during the holiday season.
It's actually coming.
Yeah, they confirmed it.
So it's going to be combined. I mean, Microsoft is doing big moves, in my opinion. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're also doubling the price on the Game Pass in next week.
So but it's gonna be combined with the other things. So they're giving you a bang for the buck as well. So
though you have to be signed up for the Ultimate Game Pass.
the Ultimate Game Pass, yeah. I mean, that's
yeah.
what I have anyway because I got PC, so obviously it
Yeah.
makes sense for me. So yeah, I mean, it's a good deal, but I think it's a really good deal. I think it's just they're doing.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is also like, especially for people with PCs and the way they are gonna deliver the games, there is if you have a good PC, there is no reason for you to get the Xbox.
Yeah, because you're gonna be able to play all of them without.
Yeah, on PC, and that's the thing. I think we'll see. That's what I'm finding interesting, especially.
It all comes down to the range of Microsoft, isn't it? It all kind of makes sense. It's they have, Microsoft is doing, they have the Windows and they have the PCs and everything. So it's basically, it's kind of like staying home, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can play on your PC. So it's basically on the same, Microsoft has their fingers on every PC as well. So.
Yeah, and that's a strange thing because they're trying to sell you a system, even to like PC gamers, especially like even on Game Pass, you can get ads or you see a pop up for it's like, oh, there's a new console coming. And it's weird for me seeing that because I'm like, in a way, I'm not, because of all the information we got, essentially that, oh, all these games are going to be on PC as well. So like, I don't have reason to care. But at the same time, I kind of get it for the people outside who's don't have a PC or don't have a powerful enough PC and they see those consoles, and especially the Game Pass deal is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, even for a PC gamer, that an Xbox S makes sense to some extent if he wants to play with his friends who own Xboxes, for example, or if he just wants to dabble into some games that are not coming to Game Pass or are not on PC, because that is still a thing.
Yeah, but it's gonna be it's gonna be, and I'm not like, there's a thing, it's like it's not gonna be much of a thing anyway when it comes to Microsoft either published or made games for the next generation.
Yeah, true. But I just remember the situation with the 360. I don't know if we'll have that ever again. I specifically bought a Xbox 360 back in the day, just so I could play Japanese shoot 'em up games.
Yeah.
Because really cool stuff like Akai Katana and Death Smiles and all this cool stuff came out on the 360. Death Smiles is actually on Steam now, but back when you wanted to play that, you had no chance. You had no other chance than to get an Xbox and to play it there. That's maybe they have something like that as a selling point, and then I might pick up a cheap S. It's just me though. That would be something I would pick a console still up for.
Mm-hmm. It depends like how they do the availability of games.
Yeah.
If they're gonna retain some of them or just on console, or will there be maybe time and exclusivity on console and then it moves on to PC.
By the way, Microsoft, if you ever watch this or whoever made this game, I still need Akai Katana back, please. Thank you.
I think I honestly makes complete sense what you said, Orco, and I completely agree with you because that's such a cheaper price on that second console. It will make someone like, for example, you had your PC, you don't own an Xbox, it's quite pricey, but then you can afford to buy the cheaper version of the Xbox and playing with your friends. You're gonna be able to play the same game on your PC and your Xbox. You're playing on your own, you play on your PC. Your friends are on Xbox, you jump on your Xbox, you got the same game. That is, I mean, the whole system, the whole idea, and what Phil Spencer's team, what they are doing, they're striving to do something, that we have wanted, for a long time. Stop, those walls between consoles and PCs, and there's a wall between all of them. So he's basically broken the wall between console and PC already. there is no war anymore. They release a cheaper priced, a console. I mean, obviously, it's not affordable for everyone, quote unquote, affordable for most people. That if for the hardcore players, they got the more expensive version, which is catered to that specific kind of people. But then you got the people like with PCs, and they say, oh, all right, so this and this to play, I don't know, Destiny on Xbox. They don't play on PC because they don't own it. So I might as well think about getting the cheaper version and then play with them on console.
Here's something else. When we have these kinds of situations, I think ultimately what Microsoft did was a more consumer-friendly choice. And here is another prediction I will make. I will tell you that at the start, the S model will outsell the X model.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Definitely. I think the S is going to sell much more. I think at the end, like throughout the lifespan of the console, the S is going to outsell the X. Definitely, in my opinion. I think you're completely right.
That's a no-brainer, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's just it's because of the that's what I'm saying. It's like the S is catered just not for the kids or the families and everything. It's also catered for the guy who owns a PlayStation. It's catered for the guy who owns an Xbox or an Xbox, sorry, a gaming PC. It's catered to those people. It's like, okay, you're not gonna go and spend the full price on the console, and that's going to put you off from buying the console. But we're gonna give you this one half price. How about that?
Yeah,
we're gonna go. Oh, okay, I might go and buy it because
it's just. I mean, essentially, what you have is a backup device at that point.
Exactly, and it's a really, really good marketing strategy from Microsoft.
It's like I said, it's not only a good marketing strategy, it's ultimately also consumer friendly because more choice is always pro-consumer. And that's what I
think about PlayStation. Do you think they're gonna do something similar?
I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think, especially the way it's a company from a completely different either business culture, as well as when it comes to their place in gaming. And like in Japan still it's big, especially like you can go to Akihabara or other like entertainment centers, even like in smaller cities, to find older physical games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's too big part of that like entertainment culture. So I'm not sure they'll do a strictly digital box. What might be possible is they do something like a PS TV with a subscription and make it like a PS Now machine.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be
kind of like Google Stadia.
Yeah, but it's going to be maybe even cheaper than the Series S because essentially it's just a streaming box.
Yeah, obviously.
And then they're going to have big boy PS5. That would be like my idea if they do something like that.
Would you go for the Google Stadia type of PlayStation?
Hell no.
No, not a chance.
No.
I would never go. Like, not even if I have as a backup or anything. I would rather have an Xbox as a backup.
No, the thing is, it's like
it's proven not to be.
Once the infrastructure is there, it's fine.
Yeah,
but we don't live in a world where game streaming is reliable or a one-to-one experience.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get there, yeah, fine, whatever.
I think we're still a few years away. Isn't fine.
Like once we get to like, okay, we can stream essentially a game at such a speed and such a fidelity, it's essentially one-to-one. Yeah, fine. Yeah, even like then I'll maybe even consider getting a box like that. We're not there, and we've seen like what Stadia, how it essentially crashed and burned right out of the door.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think the technology is there yet. Still.
Yeah,
so we want to, because we want to, obviously, as gamers. Yeah. We want that to be there already, but sadly, the situation is we are not there yet.
I don't want it to be ever there because game streaming is, my eyes, something that should never. I'm way too conservative of a gamer. But also, what I wanted to say about the companies when you look at them, how they approach their business model.
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of found a niche for themselves in the console market from the big
They
three.
did, yeah.
Microsoft is trying to be the we are everywhere guys. Like they try to tear down the walls between PC and console, as you already put out, Val. They try to get in on the all digital. They try to push that hard with Game Pass, for example. And I wouldn't be surprised if next generation they really remove the drive completely, even from their big models, and just start going all digital.
I mean,
Then
it's always
let me
be-
let me finish. 1 second.
Yeah.
Then we have Sony who go in completely conservative, and I'm pretty sure they will go down a more classic route
Mhm.
when it comes to console manufacturing. This generation, and also I predict the next generation, they will also do that. Even if they are kind of behind this generation or next generation, essentially a little bit. And Nintendo does Nintendo. Nintendo does whatever Nintendo does and is almost always successful. We don't talk
Yeah.
about the Wii U, please. Okay,
I mean,
well,
I like Wii U.
the Wii U is a fantastic console with fantastic
Yeah.
games. Fatal Frame 5 is one of the best horror games out there. I'm just
Wasn't
saying
it the
that.
first and it gave us Bayonetta 2 as well.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I honestly think that the digital version of the games are never gonna go away, in my opinion. It's not digital, the physical version of the consoles are never gonna go away for some reason. Don't ask me why. I think it's just never gonna go away. They're gonna use the advantage because it's also a very clever move. Because if you think about it, as a marketing strategy, as profitable company, to make the full-on version is expensive, but then you make because you're giving another choice, which is without a disc, and it's saving a ton of money because obviously the disc. Are they still using the disc from like Sony?
Yep.
Yes.
Blu-ray, yeah.
If you think about it, okay, you just think about it. It's Microsoft, okay? So you're using the physical stuff, which is from other companies, because you don't create physical stuff. You create, everything is software. So you're purchasing this, which is from Sony. You're giving them money apart from competing with them because you gotta buy their stuff. They remove it and they give you, that version, which is a lot cheaper. It's gonna be a lot cheaper, but it's downscaled a little bit, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. They say in that, your brain is not gonna think, oh, the Series X is too expensive, because they're giving you another option. They're giving you the cheaper option, which is almost half priced. You know what I mean? They that you don't think in your brain you are like, I'm gonna buy this one because I'm a hardcore gamer. It doesn't feel expensive. There is always a cheaper version.
Yeah, the thing is also why they go with full digital version is there you can't buy games physical, and they want that way they don't have to pay the 30% cut to a retailer because they sell your game through their own store.
Yeah, and
So-
get a 30% cut. Those cheeky guys.
I mean, they obviously Microsoft is Microsoft for a reason.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing. I
No.
think it's a very 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 intelligent move. They know what they're doing. They are clever about it. They analyzed everything, so that's why the whole reason. I mean, I'm absolutely. I think that's why the reason of the physical disc version is never gonna go away, but it's going to be jacked up big time. It's all, like I said, it's almost double the price, and I don't think the components are that much to be double the price. The X is probably where Microsoft is making the profit. Probably the S is where they're not making almost nothing. In that regard, like they play with your brain. Obviously, those multinational companies, and they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to play with you and make you think that you are
Yeah.
making a good purchase. So they make you think the 500 version is a good price. That's the first thing I actually said. If you really think about it, and you know a bit about marketing, business and stuff, they play with you because they give you another option, which is almost half the price, and it's like you don't feel like you're spending too much money. You're like, it is cheap because I got this version, but then I can buy this one. Should I buy this one? I'm a hardcore player. I consider myself a hardcore player, and I want to play full on 4K on my 65 inches TV, and I want my eyeballs to pop up after 5 minutes. And you go for the X, and you don't feel like it's expensive. But they know that, and then they're giving you the other one, and they know the other one is going to sell more, but the digital version is going to make the money because they know, like you said, Batman. I was going to get to that point. They're not making. They don't have to pay the cut to the other people that are selling the games, and then they have, like you said, they're going to double the price on the, and they done a deal with EA on the Game Pass. EA Play is going to be included on the Game Pass Ultimate. So they're making the money. They might not be making on the S, but somehow they make you think it's a good deal, but then you end up, paying all these other things, and there you go. On the S, you don't have enough hard drive. I mean, you have probably for 2 Call of Duties, and that's about it.
By the time this comes out, it's probably just 1 Call of Duty. You're not going to be able to fit anything else on it.
Probably, you're right. So just think about it. Do you know? I mean, we all know what happened. The deal they have done with Seagate, right? It's perfect. They're probably making a cut from Seagate. S, cheaper version, smaller console, not that much storage room, but let me tell you one thing. I got a SSD coming from Seagate that you can install it, and it's priced on $79. Boom. I'm making even more money from another side. So they're making moves. I think Phil Spencer has changed the vision of the company completely. Him and his team, because he hasn't done everything, but him and his team have changed the vision on gaming wise, on pricing, on everything. So it's been more accessible at the same time. If you analyze what they're doing, they've been more profitable. I mean, he's there for a reason. He knows what he's doing. So it's a really, really good acquisition for Microsoft. And with that, I got nothing else to say. I'm sorry. I admire Phil Spencer. I have to say, I admire the guy. And he plays Destiny.
A man of culture, I guess.
No, but for real, I somehow I think PlayStation is gonna come out with something. I don't know.
They kind of have to. You know what would be really funny if they came up with another handheld?
I don't think that's gonna happen. But do you think?
No, it's not gonna happen. But it would be too funny.
I mean, they released what's it called, Surface Duo. It's essentially a Galaxy Fold just by Microsoft. And it actually looks really good and functional. There's your handheld for $1,400.
Well, that's you can buy 3 consoles with that. Do you think now PlayStation and Sony is pressure into making another console?
I don't think so. I think Sony, like I said, they have their niche of the conservative model. I think they will release a more powerful model down the line because the Pro Series was really successful for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they will release a cheap model alongside the let's say base model.
No.
Do you guys then feel like they are going to fail in this generation war?
No, because they have their own niche. And that's the thing, this generation is probably going to be the most distinct, like it's going to have the two most distinct approaches to the business model we had in ages, where you have Microsoft who's smearing their all over place, and Sony who's this like super conservative, essentially gaming house that even like has their own console exclusive that are going to be completely missing essentially on Xbox.
I mean, I'm not really bothered about that, but
no, I'm saying that's a completely different approach from Microsoft, and that's their niche. It's like you want to play like exclusives, you gotta get a PlayStation, and that's going to be like their thing, and people are going to buy into it, especially now because a lot of people are invested from PlayStation 4, and some of their games, even the same as with Xbox, they will carry over to the next generation.
Yeah.
people are in that way. Some people will be rooted right away from the get-go to the upcoming console based on the console they had before. So because of the large install base for PS4, I don't think Sony's gonna like really fail. It may fall behind at the start just because I don't think they're gonna come out with their console before Microsoft. I think they're gonna come out after. Microsoft will be ahead on sales, but in the end, I think it's gonna be like every other, console generation is gonna even out over time. I don't think there's gonna be anyone really left behind.
No, sorry, Orko. Go on.
Yeah, I think what Bam Bam says rings true. I think when you look at it in 4 years from now on, you will pretty much have a head-to-head. I don't think this generation will be a very competitive one in terms of sales. I don't think we will see somebody really dominating it like this generation or currently running generation that is phasing out right now, or the generation before that, or however it is. I personally think we will just see, like Bam said, Microsoft will have a head start because they have probably built up more goodwill. Sony still has some goodwill left from the start of of the current generation. I personally just think that in the end it's gonna be toe to toe to sales. I don't think we see anyone who will dominate or what. We'll see what Nintendo does and how they answer.
Yeah.
But Nintendo at this point is just Nintendo. They do whatever they want. And
that's the thing. Nintendo's just isn't really affected by what's happening in the gaming industry, but also is not affecting anything that is within the gaming industry. They're just their own entity standing outside at this point, because they're such a even now some people refer to video games as Nintendo. That's the thing. Nintendo, it's a household name that will never go away, and I will stand by that.
To be honest, I completely understand what you guys are saying about the situation of Sony, being a different type of company, obviously being more stuck in the past a little bit, and even though it's a different culture and everything, I think Microsoft and Xbox has shown that the times have changed. You have to move on with time. I completely understand that you have to, your own cater to your own culture and everything. The movements and the moves they're doing and everything. Even though, we all know Nintendo has its own, demographic and it's, specific. You as a console, even though Nintendo knows that and they cater to that specific demographic, I bet you they would love to cater to absolutely everyone in the world.
Well, that's every company, and that's the thing. It's I don't think you can really make that statement like that, because there is way more nuance that has to go into that.
You understand what I mean? On the big picture, they want to cater to everyone else, isn't it? Not just this specific amount of people.
Well, if you have such a large specific group of people that you cater to already.
Yeah, but you would like to add more people to that, isn't it? Like everyone else.
But that's the thing. It's with gaming, and I think in entertainment, it's also a word of mouth and the people around, whoever is interested. So if when I grew up, everyone had a PlayStation, and I didn't even look what was 6. I didn't know what the hell PlayStation was. I had my old NES bootleg console, and then I got a PlayStation, and then I got into PlayStations, and then I had a couple of friends had a PC, so we got a PC, and that's how I got into PC gaming. And I think that's how a lot of people get into whatever they have. It's based around the groups of people. So I don't think you can really do something to change that. In the end, you will also play on what other people around you are playing on, and I think that's what most of these companies recognize, that yes, they could do some changes, but they also risk alienating the current audience, and that's not what you want. So they will stick to the current audience, which is already large enough. Who knows how many hundreds of millions PlayStations were sold, how many Xboxes were sold. So they have already that. So now it's essentially just fighting for the crossover and trying to trying to get people to talk and essentially make quote unquote decisions easier for the people who are on the fence, and that in the end is going to be again based around the community that's already based in that whatever place
Mhm.
you're in. So I don't think they really, to a degree, I like what Microsoft is doing, but at the same time, I think they're also kind of diminishing the reasons why to buy their console.
I mean,
Uh,
there must be a strategy behind it. I mean, it's got to
Yeah,
be
obviously there is. Yeah, I'm saying like there is. Yeah,
there is a massive
but
strategy behind it, and I think I honestly, it just it feels to me like Microsoft is trying to move with the time. Is kind of like decided in this generation, like saying, okay, it's about time we put the effort into moving onto the future and just put this all digital, and this is the we are gonna embrace it, even though we have the classic one, but we're gonna embrace it. We're gonna just move on a little bit and
no.
change
See, if
a
they
bit.
were fully like going into the change, they just release all digital consoles.
I
There
don't
wouldn't be a version.
think No, I don't think you can ever remove physical version
But if they
ever.
really want to change the industry, that's what they'll have to do.
No, but you give a second choice, which is a really good strategy and a really good idea. I don't think they will ever consider removing a physical edition because
They already
there
considered
is a
it.
lot. But there is a lot of people that obviously shops and everything that live of those kind of things, physical version of the games and stuff like that. I don't think they will ever remove that because obviously they must have some investment on that as well, and they need them. Like every.
So here is where I stand, and I do honestly think that gaming industry sees this physical retail stores more as a crutch than any point.
Yep.
They don't just say it out loud because they still have obviously contract obligations, whatever with them.
Mhm.
But they could just imagine it from Sony's and Microsoft points of view.
Mhm.
You have your own digital store on your own platform. You provide the space, and Sony or whoever else sells their games physically. Just imagine Sony. Let's just talk about Sony and Derek. When they send their exclusive games on discs to, let's say, GameStop,
Uh-huh.
they have to give GameStop a 30% cut for each unit sold. Not to mention the manufacturing, not to mention everything else that's in that chain. Can cut out that chain, focus everything back onto their store. Not only do they make 100% money back from each copy sold, because it goes directly into Sony's pocket, but they also get that sweet 30% cut from everyone else who sells on their console, not GameStop. We are in a situation where Sony and Microsoft are directly competing with high street retailers, just not in the same space, but it's a direct competition for that 30% cut. Because you damn better well believe that when you sell a product on Sony's and Microsoft store, you're gonna pay them. You're gonna pay Steam, you're gonna pay Apple. You're going to pay everyone. You even pay Epic 12%, even if they yell, "Oh, we're the good guys! Oh, we have only 12%, everyone else at 30%. You pay everyone a cut of what you sell. And this is, at this point, a direct competition and a direct race for money. And as soon as it comes to money, friendship ends. They have the technology, they have the basic setup, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it might be like a contractual thing as well. It's holding them back a little bit, but I don't know. I don't think they will, kind of be the first one to remove the, completely from a generation like physical disc. I'm not just yet. It might be. I mean, it might be the case on the next generation. I mean, we never know. maybe in 5 years' time, we are in a situation where, like Google Stadia is booming and,
But
the
the
rest
difference
of, like,
that I think
think the infrastructure becomes a lot better and
I think
everyone starts kind of like maybe like high retail shops like you're saying start disappearing, like Blockbuster, we all know what happened to them, kind of like they start disappearing and they say, okay, we're gonna put the foot on their throat already, come up with an all digital console, no other option. It's gonna cheapen their production though for any console.
that's maybe another point.
Like cheapen the production. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, honest. As of today, I don't think removing the digital, not removing the physical edition of with a disc tray is clever. In 5-10 years, will they do it? Probably yes, but not right now. I don't think like like Bam said with Google Stadia. Google Stadia is there. It's just not fully fleshed out for you to in order to invest on just that. It just requires more time. Whether we like it to be there or not, we just need more time. That's all. I think it's the same situation with Microsoft and going full on disc-less console and embracing that. You know what I mean? That's my idea on it. Like I don't think it's just yet. The market is ready for it yet. You have to think about the bigger picture. It's not you don't have to think about just the certain people that have really good internet or they have everything to buy digital and everything. There's some people still that get the physical version. So I'm like you said, Orco. There might be some contractual stuff. Those people still have a contract with the high street shops and they still have to continue producing the physical disc version. Maybe they are warning them with we have a disc-less version already, so prepare for what's coming. I think the the high street shops, physical games shops will end up disappearing, in my opinion, like the Blockbuster situation. I think they will end up disappearing. Sadly, because we grew up with those shops, isn't it? But I don't think I don't think physical version of games are going to be with us for much longer. I don't know what you guys think about, but
I mean they just closed in the US a couple of hundred game stores.
It might happen. So if that is coming within the next 5 years, and then at that point, I think we'll see full on digital, no disc, physical disc option at all. Like not even the collector's edition comes with a physical disc anymore, isn't it?
On consoles they do, yeah.
They still do. I mean, I know
on
the
consoles.
one from Destiny, the new one from Beyond Light, is coming discless.
Yeah, but that makes sense because it's a free-to-play game. You don't need a disc, right? But I just got because I got a Nioh 2 special edition, limited one, and that had a disc in it because it's a regular game, right? It's not a live service.
Let's see what happens. I think right now it makes complete sense they don't go for that route and they maybe hold it back for the next generation. But they're already giving both options. So I would have loved to see, honestly, a full-on like Series X without the disc tray. That's what I was hoping for. Like a full-on 4K, all capabilities, just not a disc version of it.
I think they just couldn't. It wouldn't make it cheap enough to make like a budget version.
Yeah.
What is essentially the Series S.
I think you might have saved like 50 quid.
50 is 50. I mean,
yeah, not everybody thinks that way, but not everyone. And I'm pretty sure I personally, if I would see a console, I have a discless version and a disc version. You sure can bet everything on the disc version that I'm going to. Because I don't give a S about discless versions or 50 quid. I have more, and there is where again the consumer comes in, or where I come in, If I buy a disc version, I have again more options. I can choose if I want to buy my game on disc or not. If I am a cheapskate and try to buy a discless version, I already confined myself to what I will do in the future.
Yeah.
And that's well worth 50 quid, for me at least.
Yeah. And the thing is also there's like a big disparity between prices on the digital platforms and the actual physical releases. Because I see it a lot on the PlayStation Store, and then when I see the games being sold normally in stores, it's like see, I got what was it? Control. I got Control limited edition for I think it was like 45 quid. Whereas if I bought the deluxe edition on PS Store, it would be 75. And without having access to a disk drive, I wouldn't have that option to get it essentially at a much better price. I'd be confined to pay Sony essentially that 75 quid if I wanted that edition of the game that badly.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think we're going to end up seeing this.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's also why I think like it's a bit of a I don't see it as much of a positive to remove the disk drive.
I mean, I just think moving forward into the future.
Yeah, it's obvious like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's something that we can't.
But
seem
there's
to be
essentially
able to stop.
all I want to say is there's no goodwill behind removing the disk drive. It's just so they can squeeze even more money out of you in the long rate. Yeah,
it's profitable. I'm not saying I cut on the price when they create the diskless version. I'm saying it's a extra profit. The way I said it's extra profit up for the company. It's not gonna be. They're probably going to price it the same as if it had it or not. So let's say they come out. Let's say in 2023 they come out with a Pro Xbox without a disc. It probably cheapen the price for the production. They would probably not even cheapen the price of the actual.
It's a massive. It's not just the production cost. Well, it's a massive profit gain for Microsoft, for Sony, if they remove the disk drive, because again, all the people are driven to their storefronts, and what do they get from every product sold on their storefronts?
Yeah,
an extra cut here.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. It's a clever move. It's a clever move. Whether that it's going to happen, and they're going to be the ones winning from the whole situation.
If they remove the drive, it's just a win-win for them. There is nothing. From a company's perspective, the drive is actually a crutch. If we are blunt and honest, the drive is a crutch.
Even more for Microsoft, isn't it?
For both. I say for both.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of like Sony, quote unquote, is still theirs, isn't it? Like, I bet it's easier or cheaper in that regard. They make it.
But the thing is,
so it's a tiny bit.
The licensing fee in the end to use the Blu-ray technology for Microsoft is nothing. So I don't think that's a real factor. I think for them it's pretty much just to drive people to their storefront. But then again, I think we're gonna know more after next week when we get the full reveal on the PS5 to really see how they're gonna approach this generation that's upcoming this holiday.
I'm gonna make a blunt statement right here. Okay, I'm gonna say PlayStation is coming out with a cheaper version without a disc. They're coming out with a cheaper version because they've been forced by Microsoft, by the situation on Microsoft. I honestly think something like that is gonna happen.
No, I tell you what will happen. I mean, if you're right, then good on you. But I think this is what is gonna happen. Like I said, down the line they will release a upgraded version, a Pro version with a disc drive, and then release a cheaper base model, which will be diskless and cheap. And it's the normal PlayStation 5 as released at the start of the life cycle.
Yeah, okay. I think because I think they if what you're suggesting is essentially a reactionary project, which is the diskless version, I think they didn't have that's not enough time between the leaks and the reveal now. Yeah, they might come up with. They probably will come up with it down the line, but I think at this point, right now, we're gonna probably see just one version, with an announcement that possibly like a pro version's come in maybe in like 2 years.
If you think about it, Microsoft did the same. They backtrack after the presentation with what happened after PlayStation. So they reacted to it.
Yeah, but this was just essentially a statement. It wasn't a completely new project as a system.
But that will be a project within the console, because you have to change something, isn't it? Like the CPU, something will have to change on that system quickly in order for it to be able to be region open. And
I don't know. I don't think so. I
Okay.
think we're just
I don't know.
speculating
I'm
at this
just
point. I don't
asking
think we have
from-
enough really to go on for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all. I hope they come out with a second version, and I'll be right. I'll be like, yes, I should be working in for one of those. Yeah. Whatever happens. I'm really happy for. In my opinion, the final thoughts on this. I think it's a wonderful idea and freedom. There is no wars between PC and Xbox gaming anymore.
Yes.
In my opinion, that's what I got to say. I'm really happy to have seen the changes they have done in the end. I was not expecting it. I don't know about you guys, but I was not expecting it. That caught me by surprise.
No, I think because there was talks a lot about the disc version and the disc version, that there's going to be two of them. It was just how cheap can they go on the discless one, and I think they just hit like the right spot for it.
They hit a really sweet spot.
Yeah, and I think, especially as I said, I think at this generation is gonna be defined by the current generation, the one that's phasing out now, because of all the game library carryovers to the next generation, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see it's like, well, you're invested into Xbox because you game on Xbox, so obviously like that's right for you. Whereas like myself and a lot of people that have PS4s and have a lot of games on PS4s is like, well, I'm waiting to see now what Sony does, because either I'm gonna get an Xbox and start over with the entire library, or they do well, and I as well get PS5 instead at some point, because I can carry over games. I don't have to buy anything at launch. I just need the console. So I think that's going to be the biggest factor this generation is going to be for the upcoming one, is how people are invested into their existing game library that they can get to carry over on the next one.
We don't get the question real quick before we move on. PlayStation doesn't have backwards compatibility, right?
I think it does for some games, yeah.
Only with PS4?
With PS4, yeah.
Nothing previous that?
No, but neither really. The thing is, on the PS3, you can play anything aside from PS1 games. And then I think on the PS4 I can even play PS1 games, but you can't play PS2 or PS3. But which is still weird. I can put in my old like Metal Gear Solid CD and play it, but I can't play whatever I have on PS2. But they do have. That's why they're pushing PS Now. That's where a lot of their PlayStation 3 library is. Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's just I don't know. Microsoft has compiled everything, and you can play anything like on it.
Yeah.
And everything is going to carry over to the Series S and X. So
yeah,
I was wondering if PlayStation had the same approach,
but
I read it didn't, so I was kind of confused there. So
the thing is also because they're coming from different perspectives, right? Because the market's built in their home country that way that you can still go anywhere and buy like NES, SNES games for the Sega consoles still. Like you can get dirt cheap Dreamcast in Japan. So there's like this culture where people don't get really rid of their old systems unless they really have to or want to, or I think that's also like that old school approach from Sony. I would love to be able to play like my PS3 games or PS4. I mean, I have my PS3 hooked right next to my PS4, so I can play it, but it would be good to have that backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't think really even backwards compatibility plays a role at this point.
I think it's a niche thing, and if
It's a
your
really niche
competition is
thing.
doing it, you should be doing it because it's all about giving a even better service to your customers, to your clientele. Because obviously, at the end of the day,
But then
you
again,
are.
I'd like to really see the data, how many people play their old games.
No, I know, but it's a niche thing that
Yeah, it's a niche
we
thing
all
that
like
would be
it. We all
cool.
like
Yeah,
to play it.
yeah. I'm not
And
saying
if your main competition is doing it, I would love to, see them taking the same approach, isn't it? You always
Yeah.
try to see what they're doing and improve on it,
Yeah.
basically.
But then
So-
again, as I said, it's two completely different cultures clashing in this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're only. I understand completely their culture and everything, but the clientele is more than their own culture, a lot more than their own culture. So, you gotta be thinking on everyone else as well.
I mean,
With that
the,
thing.
the thing about culture is you cannot really translate it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even the only thing you can do is localize it, but I think
Then you're
Sony-
changing it in a way.
you're adapting it to the
Yeah.
to the other culture, yes, in a way. The thing about this is, and here's the kicker. In this regard, Microsoft has an advantage because they are not
Oh,
big
yeah.
in Japan. They don't
Yeah.
matter over there. Sony has to do they have to appease to two very different gaming cultures, and this is where it's really where they have to be really careful not to annihilate one side or the other, so they are doing compromises.
Yeah.
This is really hard to do, believe me.
Yeah.
I know a thing about culture or
I'm
two.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand because I've never been too close to the Sony, kind of side of things. Obviously, I've always, read about it, but I always, kind of like wonder how really, why they do things the way they do it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense when.
I mean, it's the same way like Nintendo. Pretty much every other system isn't compatible with the old one. Sometimes they straight up change media. It's like you can't play anything on Switch that's not for Switch because it's a cartridge-based game system.
Absolutely. So let's see what
Yeah, next week,
PlayStation comes up with, and let's hope we get to see surprises. I'm excited.
We're supposed to get prices and release date.
Yeah, I'm let's see. Maybe they come out with something that we're not expecting. We didn't expect the Series S, and they came up with that. Like,
I mean, we expect it just because we
yeah,
had
but
the leaks.
the price and everything, you never, we really never saw anything like that. I'm all in for it. Like, try to innovate, and bring something new to the table. We are the ones who are gonna benefit from that.
I think it's much more. It's not innovation; it's iteration at this point.
Can only do so much. I think the biggest innovation they can throw out the disk drive at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
There,
whatever
said
they
it
come
again.
with, whatever they come up with, it's gonna be, if they create something different and it changes, we never know. Maybe they have figured out something, and they come up with that now. So I don't know. Whatever happens, I'm really excited to see what they answer with and to see what the real competition is gonna be like. Well, these are the two consoles. This is the price. This is the release date, and this is the options. And let's see where they move on from that. It's exciting times for all of us.
And before we move on, we forgot the release date. It's November 10th.
Pre-orders start on September
22nd.
Yeah.
All right, then we can move on, gentlemen. Video games. Hey, I am in love. I go first. That's okay, right, Bum Bum?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I am in love, guys and gals. I have talked about this game actually before on the show, just very briefly, and I didn't give it too much the spotlight as it deserved. Bum Bum is probably now shaking his head silently and saying, Orca, you are completely insane. How can you like this? But honestly, I'm in love, and my new love is called Deadside. What is Deadside, may you ask, dear viewer? What is Deadside? Well, I'm glad you asked. Deadside is a very curious mixture of DayZ, but good DayZ, not bad DayZ. So like the DayZ that already exists, it's a good DayZ from a parallel universe where DayZ is actually good. And Escape from Tarkov. It doesn't have the hyper-realism of Tarkov so far. Maybe they changed that. That would be amazing. I didn't say that because now other people will come after me with pitchforks and knives. I really do like this game. At the moment, it's in early access on Steam. It's still, I would say, an alpha. It's version 0.18, so 0.18. And they just released a huge update. Well, not a really update, but an update on September 10th, so 2 days ago. And they added a few things. They added new events, which are airdrops. So basically some airdrops, or a helicopter flies into the zone and drops valuable cargo off. And the idea behind it is that you and potentially competing players race against each other to get to the cargo first, plunder it, and then venture off your merry way. Then they added new weaponry. They added anti-material sniper rifle, a Barrett M99, which is basically a 50 BMG caliber for everyone who's a little bit adept with the weapon. We have an RPK light machine gun, which is like a Soviet machine gun, and a light machine gun HK MG36. And we have, which is actually something I really wanted to have for a long time in this game because it really didn't exist, a tactical assault vest with armor plates. So in your equipment, or your equipment you equip has a set amount of inventory slots. Like pants can hold up to 4 items, depending on what kind of pants you're wearing. If you're wearing tracksuit pants, then obviously just 2. Jeans grant 4. I haven't found something that grants 6, but it would make sense if you find cargo pants or something. Have 6 pockets. Jackets hold up to 4 items, and then you can get basically vests, which can hold stuff for you, or you wear armor. It was always like a choice. Can I carry more, or do I wear armor? I actually also like that, but I'm not opposed to combining it in at least to a certain degree. What I don't want to see is like you have like super heavy armor and space to carry stuff around. That's not something I want to see from the game. I just want to have a consistency there. So light armor and 4 pouches to carry items, that's okay. I think that's a good addition. Or sounds like a good addition. They added a new helmet. They added the ability, and this was actually something I was clamoring for, to craft multiple items at once. If you have more resources than needed for one item, the dialogue will appear with an ability to choose the number of it. So if you, for example, want to build more scaffolds than 1, it just tells you, do you want to build 1 scaffold or do you want to build X? And then you go for the X, obviously, because this is really...
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to be able to build in stacks, because, there are games that don't let you do that, and it's annoying as hell.
Yeah. But they, like I said, they added that, and that's actually one of the most sensible things in these updates. They also added the option to set a number of players in a squad, which is now max to 10 people. You can set the respawn radius around your body. They added more customization options to that, so it's not 2 kilometers from your body away, but you can like do it to 500. You can set the server entirely to PvE, which is actually a really good thing if you want to do that. And I don't want to do that. I want to populate my own server more with people and get more people on it, and then eventually go also into PvP, because that's where the fun lies, right? We can add a welcoming message now. This is more server setting stuff. What they also added are like quality of life features, which I touched upon exactly. They are still working on a bunch of stuff. They work on an industrial zone, which looks actually really great. It's gonna be a huge building, and I'm looking forward to it. It really looks like an old Soviet manufacturing plant. And they also work on some other stuff, like a underground military bunker. I hope for stalker monsters, which we probably won't get, but one can hope, right? And they work on helicopters and vehicles still. So this is going to be interesting, especially once the vehicles unlock, that you can traverse much faster than you can now. Because once the entire map will be released, this game is going to be huge. So we are really talking about a Daisy-like map. And I hope for boats, I hope for helicopters, I hope for cars, for motorcycles, for everything we just to have fun, right? So I've been playing this game yesterday and the day before on stream, and I had a blast. I really like the gameplay loop of just going out and finding better gear. I guess this is my kind of addiction when it comes to gaming. Always getting better stuff, hoarding stuff, that kind of stuff. This is something I really enjoy. And what I also really like about that side, and this is probably one of the most important aspects of it. Imagine that, bringing that up as a selling point in these days. The game runs phenomenally well for being in an alpha. This game is buttery smooth, and looks good. I have yet to encounter a huge amount of glitches or anything. It crashed hard once on me, and it ended, and we had one hard server crash, which was resolved within 1 minute. And that's within 25 hours of gaming. That's actually really good. If you just look at Daisy in its current state, and Daisy has been out for how long? And Daisy still runs really bad. Even Conan Exiles, which will get a new expansion, by the way, on September 15th.
Yeah, it's the new island, right? I think.
Yeah, Isle of Siptah. Even that game doesn't run all that well.
Yeah, and now imagine trying to play that on PS4.
Yes, no.
Yeah, you know about it.
But that's like the great deaths of Deadside, to come back to the game I was initially talking about. Just continue what they are doing, because I think they are doing the Lord's work. And I think this project has huge potential. Because imagine getting a survival game right for once.
Yeah. Are they planning mod support?
I think they do, yes. I mean, but on the other hand, this game is so flexible already.
Mhm.
I wouldn't know why you want to have mod support in the first place. I mean, obviously you would want to have mod support, but you can. That's the cool thing about it. You can just play it like you want it. You just can play it with PvE in mind. You can just play it with PvP in mind. You can combine both, or you can just wander off your merry way, claim a little bit of land, and build there whatever you want.
No, I think I watched you to playing the game enough that I kind of know what I need about a game.
Yeah, that is not for you.
Yeah, no, it's straight up not my alley.
Yeah, I apologize, but you will see it much more often on the stream. But that's okay. You can bow out. I need you later today for Control, because I'm gonna play both games, so...
Oh, nice.
stay online, please. I need you for control. I would have needed you yesterday for control as well. But you weren't there anymore.
It's like, what do I do?
Yeah. Okay. So I love Deadside. Everyone go look into it, and we have our own server. So if you want to have a great community, just go there and have some fun with us. Nioh 2.
Nioh 2. It's a sequel to Nioh, which is essentially it's a take on the Souls-like formula by the great janky team Ninja. And this is a sequel that was released in March. I just got to play it, and I was at first really hesitant because I had a really bad experience with the beta demo they had released. I think it was towards the end of 2019, and it's because people think that Bloodborne is more faster paced Dark Souls game. Nioh is about twice as fast, and it has a lot of subsystems. It's when you get down to the numbers and actually try to fiddle around and maximize your damage and skills. It's a really complex system. And what I thought about the beta was for Nioh 2 was that they just keep adding on top of it. They don't take a long hard look at all the systems they have and make sure that they all work together well and optimize while not completely overwhelming the player. And that's what happened in the beta. They just threw you in, told you essentially nothing about all these systems they added, and it was just a horrible experience where I was constantly questioning what I'm doing. Here, because I think they took a lot of feedback from the beta, so they ease you into it. Whereas in the first Nioh game, you had these guardian spirits who were essentially based around us, lesser kami, these small gods, and they were giving you powers based on their element and some passives. Now you essentially have that, but you can also, each of these lesser spirits has an associated form of a demon. So now you can actually change into a demon and fight in that demon mode, which gives you access to more powers and other passives. So you essentially build up your character. It's a standard build. You can be a big, strong boy. You can be someone who tosses around a lot of magic, or you can dash around, be a ninja. Those shurikens, poison bombs, stuff like that. They added 2 new weapon classes. It's the split staff and switchglaive, which are standouts because they're really, really different from the other classes, where you have the standard small sword, big sword, tonfas, kusurigama, spears, and stuff like that. So switchglaive is kind of cool because it has 3 different, for each stance. You have heavy stance, medium stance, and low stance. They all vary in startup animations, how fast your attacks come out, how much damage you're doing, and some skills can be activated only during each of the different stances. And now I know I'm spitting all these different things. There's a lot to cover with Nioh, and that's the thing. When they threw into the beta, it's like try to learn everything in less than 5 seconds. Here they finally give you time to soak it in. So I was glad because in the end, when you have time to really to get to know the game and they ease you into it, it's actually a really cool and deep game. But it also has some jank because it's Team Ninja, and Team Ninja is known for their Ninja Gaiden games. There are
Also
really
for their breast physics.
Yes, never forget DOA Extreme.
The best game ever made.
Yes, where the breasts move like no breasts have ever moved.
They make it all possible. So here's the thing. I was touted yesterday as a professor of Mullen physics, and now as a professor of Mullen physics, I will tell you that this DOA is completely realistic.
They have
Continue.
some encounters that I think they actually just put into the game into Neo 2, but never actually tested if they're possible to finish properly. There's a couple of, especially it happens in the side missions where they throw you into a small arena, and it's fighting wave after wave of enemies with no break. It's exhausting because you also exhaust your resources. Unlike in, say, Dark Souls, all your usable items, including the healing items, are finite. So you can essentially be left without a good amount of healing items, where you can be left with basic 3 healing items per respawn, which in Neo is not a lot. Essentially, it gives you a chance to make one mistake, because these elixirs don't even heal you all that much. They heal you, I think it's 40 or 30% of your health bar.
Yeah, it's
So it's super punishing.
Yeah. Is it more punishing than the first part? Just asking for a friend.
In a way, I say yes, but at the same time, they also add new mechanics that make it more manageable. Because in I don't remember if it was in the original Neo, but you can actually summon. You see 2 different kinds of graves now. You see the red revenant graves that you can fight, and that's usually a dead player. Or you can summon a blue phantom. Essentially, it's a blue grave, and that's a player putting down a Jasper stone that lets you summon them to help you. So you can get actually an AI companion for a limited time.
That's actually cool.
Yeah, so they added that, but you remember that you had to collect Ochoku cups to summon a co-op player, right? So now you spend them as a currency to summon these fandoms. So essentially, it's either you find the Ochoku cups in the level, and there's always the levels tend to have some loose Ochoku cups, but also you can gather them from finding the dead player revenants, which is kind of also made you more lucrative, because you also get, as in the first game, you get some of their gear on death. So if you kill them, you get some gear they had, plus the Ochoku cups to summon player phantoms. Don't think they actually have you use Ochoku cups to co-op now. You can co-op without needing the Ochoku cups, which is cool.
I can't wait for this game to be released on PC.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised. Speaking of that, actually, performance is great on PS4 because they let you choose between the 30 FPS mode and a full-on 60 FPS dynamic resolution mode. So that's really cool. That even on a base PS4 you can get 60 FPS, and it's really needed in a game like this, because the pace is insane. As you played the first one, right, Orko?
Yeah, I played the first one. I loved it to bits. I thought it was the perfect marriage of Dark Souls and Onimusha.
Yes. Here actually it's cool that they give you, you could use the Guardian Spirit as essentially to turn into like a mode where it gives your weapon a bonus. Here the yokai shift, the demon mode, has 3 different types. It's feral, brute, and a phantom, and each is based around the main attribute. It's either strength, dexterity, or magic, and they give you different elements based on the guardian spirit you have. So each guardian spirit has its own attached, each is its own type. So you can see which it is, and on top of that, you can also now gather soul cores, which are rare drops from bigger enemies that let you use a skill that's based on that enemy. So say you have this one-eyed Oni, and it's when you get its soul core, it gives you it gives you an option to attune it to your guardian spirit, and then when you use the combination of the buttons to summon it, just for a short moment, this big one-eyed Oni appears and just smashes everything in a circle. And they also added, because it was in the original game, and here as well, parrying is mostly tied to a weapon skill, and only certain weapons get parrying. But now, if you remember, some of the enemies had unblockable attacks that had this red glow over them, or this like red smoke come off of them before
Yeah.
they did it.
Yeah.
You can actually parry that with a spirit burst. Essentially, you have a special combination of buttons that you press, and you can actually parry that attack. It does 0 damage to you when you do it, and you also deplete the stamina of the demon that used that attack. So you can do a coup de grace attack on it, or just wail on it because it's incapacitated. So there's a lot of system they keep adding onto it, and
Yeah, it's almost like you're playing a brawler at this point.
yeah, it feels more like it feels way more even like I'd say Nioh was already super fast. This is even faster. I think they're slowly turning this into Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, I would be okay with it too. I mean, we need a good Ninja Gaiden again.
Yeah, so I'm about.
Team Ninja, if you hear this, please bring back Ninja Gaiden. Do Ninja Gaiden 4 and do it like it is intended to be, and do not do ever Ninja Gaiden 3 again. Thank you.
Well,
What?
you have no say in this, please. You know that. Yeah. So I would I'm about 10 hours in ish. I've talked to my brother, who's way further than me in the game. I think he's already on his New Game Plus.
Yeah.
And he said he likes it this way more than the original Neo. That there is obviously a lot more polish when it comes to game systems. All that needs tidying up is the mission design. Some of them are just feel like they haven't been properly playtested.
Probably didn't.
No, and that's the thing to say about this as well. It looks really cool. There's a lot of flair to the game, but it's obviously still like a mid-range budget game because it's Team Ninja.
Yeah.
And yeah, but they still essentially on a bag of rice. They made a phenomenal Souls-like game, or at least it's a Souls-like to a degree. They managed to now make it their own. There is enough to stand out. It's not just a Souls-like. It's a Nioh.
It's the what I always thought, or yeah, always thought about it, like a marriage of like I already said, Dark Souls and Onimusha, actually, because the art style reminded me much more of Onimusha than of any other previous works that Team Ninja has done.
Especially Onimusha 3.
Yeah, and with Ninja Gaiden basically sprinkled in. And if they just make it more Ninja Gaiden, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I think the jank sometimes just lets it down because it feels great. Like the combat is essentially a dance. Like it feels like, because it's so fast, it's a dance. And it feels great. It just sometimes the jank is sometimes odd animation or the hitboxes are not properly fine-tuned. So hopefully, I think they just released their first story DLC, which is great because it's again like the DLCs for the first game. It's all super end game. It's just there to be even more challenge, and I like that. It's no mid game. Here's an extra chapter. It's actually a full on post game story. So once I finish it in I don't know, I'm really bad at it, so I totally expect 90 hours before I finish my first playthrough. I'll be able to tell you more about the DLCs because the DLCs for the first game were I think my favorite part because they went super over the top. They even had a battle with Ryu Hayabusa, and they when you got his armor, they gave you the option to use Inazuma Drop as a skill.
Oh, nice.
So essentially, I think you just had to get behind the enemy and just use the Inazuma drop. I'm like, yes. It was also the most overpowered armor in the game. So I hope they do something like that because I think it's a great platform to expand on, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to see more. I think the yokai form is a great addition. It's more.
It's basically just their devil trigger.
Yeah, it gives also it more flair and identity. It's not just a color filter. It's an actually fleshed out mechanic that has its own mechanics attached to it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's the story doesn't matter because it's a Team Ninja game. But
the important question is, before we wrap this up, conclusion. How many melons are in the game?
yes.
Yes.
That's my answer. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I get the yes. Okay. Continue.
I mean the character creator has bust size slider. So you can.
I mean, I'm all for equality. Do we also have, man size sliders?
Sadly, this is not Saints Row.
Damn.
But the character creator, I gotta say, it's great. It's a lot of fun. My character is essentially Ciri from The Witcher.
Is it like Code Wayne, where you can be as flamboyant as possible?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, this game was tailor-made for me.
Yes, you can get as ridiculous as you want.
Awesome.
And yeah, as I said, I even said my profile pictures. My character is essentially Ciri from The Witcher.
Yeah. Okay. This game was tailor-made for.
It's a lot of fun. I was kind of like the only reason I picked it up, as I said when I came back from the store when I caught you on stream, was it was dirt cheap. I got the special edition for like 30 quid instead of paying like a 70 or 100. And I was surprised. Yeah, it's a really cool game that I'm gonna play way more of. Even probably double with the extra difficulties, which is great. Point to make. You finish the game once and you're not done because there's 5 more difficulties to finish.
Yep.
And each of them adds a new rarity of items. So you have all the gear in the world to optimize and grind for if you're so inclined. Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you gotta say about that?
Please don't do more games like that, please.
Why?
Do more Destiny games, please.
See, well, I think this is the wave of games that are like.
Is it Destiny?
Yes.
I don't care.
Destiny. I don't.
Does it take more than 5 minutes to master? Nah.
Is that supposed to be a bad thing? I think it's actually great. No, for real. No, that's fine. It's just not interested in those games. But yeah, I mean, diversity. Let's keep something for Bam to play because otherwise, we have to.
Otherwise, I'm gonna be left with games that I finish in 5 hours and have nothing to do in them.
I'm just sad I can't give my character a microgenital.
Oh, come on, man. What kind of games do you guys play?
We play all the fun games, Val. We play the fun games.
You haven't been to my streams much, weren't you?
I have. I know what you're talking about, so. Oh,
no,
Jesus
I think.
Christ.
See, I think like disregarding the the let's call it aesthetics. The thing is, I like about it is it's not a game that babies me. It's a game that expects me to learn a lot really quick, and that's why I think it clicked with me really early. It does enough to ease you into it, but then it just gives you I'm pretty
enough
sure
of
it's
a challenge,
it's
probably.
over 10 classes of weapons that you can learn to use, and then learning skills for them to even like make the combat even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And
I ran Kasurigami or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
aka the most overpowered game in the first one. Most overpowered weapon in the first game. Yeah,
And rifles.
yeah, that's because here they actually got quite cheeky with it. You know, in the first game, the most overpowered thing to do was put paralyzing poison on your Kusurigama because it did the most hits per second. Now every other boss that you fight against has a resistance to A, poison, B, paralysis. I was like, I see what you're doing.
I see what you're doing. That's great.
So yeah, I would say it's one of the most difficult games I've played in ages. Like, I would definitely say that. Orconos control is quite difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and that game has and that's why I love control. It doesn't even give you the option to change the difficulty. You have to learn it. Essentially, it tells you to get good, but it has a difficulty curve that scales extremely well. And aside from some questionable encounters in Nioh 2, I think it has a very, very similar difficulty curve where it slides really nice. And it teaches you that for some enemies, you have to be super aggressive and you have to take charge of the battle. Whereas, say, especially it comes into play with a lot of bosses, it's about just you have to be very patient and wait for your opening. There is no way to speed up the battle, or if you try, you will die horribly. I think it's a really cool balance, and they try to teach you through a lot of different types of enemies. There is, I think, I'm like just in the first level you meet what about half a dozen different types of enemies, and each has to be approached differently, and you have to learn each of their move sets to really be able to know how to approach them completely. So I think it's a cool game if you want to sink a lot of hours into it and learn and get good. And I think it's a great gateway also to other Souls games because it teaches you much better, I think, than especially some of the early Souls games, that there is a perfect line to tread between aggression and being way too passive in combat in those games. And yeah, so I'm gonna stop gushing over it, but yeah, definitely. If you're into that, or you just want to play a really challenging game, definitely play Nioh 2.
We will do that.
If you want to have fun, play Destiny.
If you want to sleep through your game, play Destiny.
Oh my!
No, what's
I don't even play Destiny, so I'm not even playing
yeah,
Destiny. So.
If you want to get really bored, play the Avengers.
I love it. I love it. Oh.
No,
All right. I think we can wrap it up here.
Yep.
It was an absolute pleasure and an Lord Val, just tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter, Lord Val Twitch, and you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook by Lord Val Gaming. And I stream every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday on Twitch .tv/ Lord Val Gaming and on YouTube, Lord Val Gaming as well.
Awesome. Bam Bam, is there anything else except your lair of darkness, depravity, and death? And my chat where we can find you?
There is just black coffee on the thin layer of skin.
You can find me on twitch.tv twitch.tv/theorcosaurus, twitter.com/theorcosaurus, Instagram Orcosaurus, and YouTube Orcosaurus. I should add a "the" in front of those as well, so you can actually find me there. Alright, this was the 22nd episode of Orcocast. It was amazing. You leave us a comment, like telling us how wrong we are and how terrible this podcast is, or just leave a nice comment, say how great this podcast is and how right we are, or just discuss with us in the comments. That'd be awesome. Everyone else, take very good care of yourselves and have a nice week. Until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Be nice, people.